Do you ever get to the end of your day and just feel like your brain has run a marathon even though you barely left your desk? Well, today we're going to break down that exact feeling, that constant mental drain from our digital lives, and maybe most importantly, why it's really not your fault. I mean, does this question hit home for you? Because you are definitely not alone. It kind of seems like the more connected we get, the more drained we all feel. So let's just walk through a couple of scenarios that I bet are going to feel way too familiar. Okay, picture this. It's barely 9 a.m. You sit down, you're ready to start your real work, but nope, you're already fighting off this avalanche of emails and notifications. And before you know it, an hour has gone by and you're already tired. Or hey, maybe this is you. You've got a clear goal for the day. You're gonna do your taxes. But the internet, it's like the world's biggest candy store, right? One quick search turns into a video, then another, and poof, all your motivation and mental energy for the day just gone. So what is going on here? You know, the first and maybe the most important thing to get is this. That feeling of being drained and distracted, it is not a personal weakness. It is not some kind of moral failing on your part. That's right. This isn't about willpower. We are literally bumping up against the very real biological limits of our own minds. And our modern digital world, it's pretty much perfectly designed to push those limits like never before in human history. So to really get why this is happening, we've got to look at this core idea from psychology that explains the brain drain perfectly. It all comes down to something called limited resources. Okay, so for over 50 years, research has been pointing to this one powerful idea. Our brains do not have an infinite supply of focus. Nope, they run on a finite budget of mental energy. And that's what psychologists call our cognitive resources. Honestly, the easiest way to picture this is like a fuel gauge for your brain. You wake up, the tank's full. But every single thing you do with your mind, from figuring out what's for lunch to actively not looking at a text that just came in, it all uses up a little bit of that fuel. Now, the part of your brain that's burning through most of this fuel is your executive function. You can think of it as the CEO of your mind, or the governor. It's the part that's in charge of all the really hard stuff, managing priorities, making decisions, resisting temptation. You get the idea. And here's the real problem. Every single time you jump from a report to an email to a quick look at social media, you're forcing that CEO in your head to do some serious mental gear changing. It's incredibly inefficient, and it drains that cognitive fuel tank at a shocking speed. And all this draining leads to a ton of guilt, right? That's because we've all been fed these really powerful and, frankly, just wrong myths about how our attention is supposed to work. So let's bust a few of them right now. Okay, this is the big one. We're always told that the perfect state is just constant, unbroken concentration, that if you're not in deep work mode, you're somehow failing. But what does the science actually have to say about that? So on the one hand, you have the cultural dream. Just force your brain to focus all day, every day. But on the other hand, you have the biological reality. Our attention naturally ebbs and flows. Trying to force constant focus is super stressful for our brains. It's just not how we're wired to work. Myth number 2. We've all heard about flow, right? That magical state where you're so immersed in what you're doing that time just disappears. It gets held up as the ultimate goal for anyone doing creative or knowledge-based work. But again, the ideal just doesn't line up with reality. Look, flow is amazing when it happens, but for most of us, in our day-to-day jobs, it is exceptionally rare. The very nature of modern work, with its constant pings and shifting priorities, just isn't built for it. And this leads us to the next myth, the one that makes us feel so guilty about how we unwind. We're told that playing that silly game on your phone or scrolling social media or even just staring into space is unproductive, a total waste of time. But, and this is wild, the science shows the absolute opposite. These so-called mindless activities are not a waste of time. They are crucial. They make us happy, they use very little mental fuel, and this is the most important part. They let our cognitive resources fill back up. It's like pulling into a mental pit stop. Okay, so if the old models are just broken myths, what's the alternative? Well, the answer isn't to try and force more focus. It's to embrace a much more natural, healthier model that's based on rhythm. This is the big idea right here. Rhythm is the new flow. Instead of fighting for this constant state of deep focus, the real goal is to work with the natural cycles of our attention as they move throughout the day.
And what's cool is, research actually gives us a map of these rhythms. Studies show that for a lot of people, focus tends to peak twice, once around late morning and again in the mid-afternoon. And that classic post-lunch slump, yeah, that's real. That's when boredom often hits its peak. It's literally your brain asking for a break. But living against these natural rhythms, constantly switching what we're doing, it's had a pretty dramatic effect on us. So I have a question for you. Just how short do you think our average focus time on any single screen has become? Just take a guess.
47 seconds. That's it. I'm not kidding. Research that actually tracked how we use our computers found that, on average, we spend less than a minute on any given screen before our attention jumps to something else. And that's not a judgment. It's just a measure of how fragmented our work has become.
So how do we manage this? Well, we need to start valuing different kinds of attention, like something called rote attention. The amazing writer Maya Angelou had a great way of describing this. She called it her little mind. She'd play solitaire or do crossword puzzles to keep her little mind busy, which let her big mind relax, refuel, and then do the deep, hard work of writing. You see, when you start to think this way, when you embrace your natural rhythms and value things like rote attention, it leads to this fundamental shift in what the ultimate goal even is. It shows us we've been chasing the wrong thing all along. The old goal, the one that's burning all of us out, is just maximum productivity, no matter the cost. But the new, much healthier goal, that should be sustainable well-being, managing our mental energy in a way that actually feels balanced and good. And here's the best part, it's this beautiful little paradox. When you stop chasing productivity and you start managing your mental energy for your own well-being, good work doesn't just disappear. It actually becomes a natural, much less stressful byproduct of a healthy mind. So I'll just leave you with this one thought to chew on. What if this whole struggle has been based on a completely false idea? What if the key to focus isn't about trying harder at all, but about learning to respect your brain's limits and just taking better, more restorative breaks?